All right, welcome to another episode of Key Biscayne Stories, where neighbors meet the neighbors. Today, we're going to get to know Mark Hemmer, or also known as Rocky, and his daily run. So before we do that, we're going to do a quick word from our sponsors. Dr. Bocage has been in practice as an orthodontist for over a decade, helping to create beautiful smiles in the Key Biscayne community. She is inspired by her patients to do her job better every day and to continually learn new methods of treatment to improve the care she gives. Dr. Bocage enjoys using her knowledge of science and engineering to make a positive difference in the life of her patients. She built her career as an orthodontist on a foundation of quality education. She received her certificate of orthodontics and a master's degree in medical science from Harvard University. Dr. Bocage is a member of the American Dental Association, the American Association of Orthodontists, and the Harvard Society of Advancements in Orthodontics, and is also a certified Invisalign provider. At Bocage Orthodontics, we provide the highest quality orthodontic treatment and Invisalign for children and adults. We are conveniently located at the heart of Key Biscayne at 240 Crandon Blv, Suite 106. All right, Mark, how are you doing today?
Yeah, very good. Beautiful day today.
Yes, it's the nice cold weather gives us a good feel here in the Key.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Mark, let's jump right in. Tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about your background. How did you arrive at the Key?
How did I arrive to the Key? Well, I work at IBM, and I was fortunate to have the opportunity to work at the IBM Boca Raton facility back in 1995. And so that's what drove me to South Florida, so through my company. And then had the opportunity to get down to the Miami area, supporting, again, IBM in the Latin America division. And so I was able then to look at different locations near the Coral Gables facility, and we found Key Biscayne to be a beautiful little village within itself because it's self-contained. And I love the fact that it's got many stores, it's got grocery store, obviously it's got the gasoline if you need to not go off the Key for gas, and just the condominiums and the people are just very friendly. And I just felt like a community feel. And not having Spanish as my number one language, I feel comfortable being on the Key because everyone's bilingual, and I never felt like I was sort of out of place because I didn't have the cultural background of, say, other people who were here. I was married at the time, and we have 2 children, and both were here on the Key for a while. We were at K through 8 facility. There was no Mast Academy at that point in time. So this was K through 8. And we had, it was a great education. And I think that's another draw to the Key is the education that is on Key Biscayne. That gives you opportunities that maybe in other parts of South Florida, the education standards aren't quite as the same. And so we really appreciated that opportunity. Joe Rasco's wife, Anna, she was the principal at the time. And so she was great. I remember a kid saying, "Oh, Principal Anna," she would be telling us what to do. And, "Oh, no, Dad, we have to wait till Principal Anna tells us what to do." So it was very respectful of her. And I know she did a great job when she was principal. That's how I got to know the Rascos. So other than that, so I was basically been on the Key since 1998 and been here ever since. Unfortunately, I'm no longer married, but we still had the children when they were here. They loved the experience. They actually now have gone through college, and one's a doctor, one's a lawyer, so I'm very proud of that. But they always remember fondly the times they were on the Key and the friendships and the experiences that is hard to replicate when you're once you have the experience here, to see if you can replicate that in other parts of the country. And it's not easy to do that. So they really appreciate, and I also appreciate the community feel.
So I've seen you run on the beach or like a few times like around Crandon. So like what got you into running?
Okay, well, that's a good question. Thank you, Matilda, for asking me that. Well, it was funny when I was growing up. I grew up in upstate New York. I didn't grow up in Florida. And my middle school, this is back in time, they really stressed track. That was one of their primary sports. Like down here, football I know is king. Basketball is also very strong. Baseball and the other normal, American sports. But in upstate New York, it was running track. And so I got involved with track at that point. I was pretty fast for at that time. I ran like a 4.5 40 for those who know sports and knows, 40 times, which has some merit in some sports. And so I was pretty quick for my age. And so I started running and run sprints and competitive meets. And, we were a pretty strong team in New York at the time. And so that translated from middle school to high school, because the middle schools fed the high school, and high school track was equally as strong and important for as a sport, and stressed as a sport. And so because of that, my middle school and high school experience running, I just always kept running because it was sort of ingrained. It's like anything else. If you always like to play a certain sport, or you've always done a certain thing your whole life, it's like riding a bike, right? Once you know how to ride, you don't forget. And so if you like riding bikes and you know how to ride, you're going to keep riding bikes like now, because you like it and you enjoy it, and it's something that you've done with passion. And so I always stuck with running. Never like running now, I'm running miles, but even then when I was in college, anytime I could run or do sports with a lot of running, I always enjoyed doing that because I was very comfortable running, and you learn different techniques and how to run and protect your legs so you don't, have these ailments I know a lot of people do face when they run too often. They feel like their knees or calves or other areas of their legs or even their back tend to have some ailments. So I understand that. But a lot of it is you learn how to run as I grew up. And therefore, when I finished college, and initially I was in Texas when I graduated from college with IBM, and so I was started in Austin, Texas. And although I played a lot of sports, the normal sports that you would think of, I also ran just to stay active, right? Just to keep in shape, if you want to call it that. And now as you grow older and you stop playing a lot of those other high stress sports, because they can take a lot of toll on your body when you're playing a basketball or football or any sport, it can really take a toll as you get older. I found running was a way to continue my passion of running, but also stay healthy. And the real benefit I found running, and what got me really, I think, continuing trying to run every day if I can, is meeting people. Whether it's on the beach, people are, as I mentioned in my article I had with Bill Durham, everyone's always happy on the beach, right? I don't know if you ever take a time to observe people, but if you go to the beach, there's always kids are playing, they're having fun. You may have some different groups of people talking with each other, and they're all having fun. And so it's a very uplifting atmosphere to begin with. And so running and maybe having a chance to talk to a person or two makes me feel good. It makes me a chance to interact with the community, and I enjoy the feeling of running. Also allows you to, I say, endorphins kick in. I know that's sort of a technical term, but it's sort of a hormone inside of you that when you're running, it kicks in and you start feeling better. Like when you stop running, you feel refreshed, you feel more active, you feel more alert, because it sort of clears out all the stress and tension that you had in your body. And so I really enjoy that feeling also. And that allows me to even come up with some new ideas at work, even because my mind is clear. But also more importantly, it's just a chance to meet people. And whether it's in the interior when I run, obviously during the work week when it gets dark at night, there's certain people I know are always going to be out there walking their dogs or just walking for their own health. And then you get to know them and you stop and chat for a while. So I don't run competitively. I'm not there to run marathons or look at my times and see what I can do, if I can run faster. I'm there really to socialize, meet people, and get a good workout in a sense of feeling healthy and enjoying, the fresh air that's obviously here in Key Biscayne, and being able to feel that endorphins kick in and that creative juices, flow again. So I really enjoy it.
And do you ever just skip a day, or do you just don't want to go one day and do you keep on going, or how does that work?
Yeah, I would say that's a good question, because you need to know your body. And the neat thing about your body, it heals itself quite a bit. And the body also tells you where you are not feeling well, right? I mean, obviously when something hurts, your body tells you, hey, you got a pain in your elbow, arm, legs, wherever it may be. That tells you got something wrong. You need to rest, relax. So my body will do the same. When I feel very tired, my legs are maybe sore a little bit, then I won't run that day, because I just listen to what my body's telling me. And if you listen to your body and do that, just take a day off or rest that day, get an extra, maybe a little more sleep, because, you're running, too fast, burning the candle on both ends, if you want to, I guess that's a phrase people use, take a day off. It's fine, right? This is not, run every day so I can lose X amount of pounds. That's, if you're there to lose weight, yes, I mean, running can help you do that, but it's not the elixir to say I can now lose, more pounds if I run even this much longer or this much harder. In fact, if you don't vary your pace and cadence a little bit when you're running, it's not necessarily healthy for you either, because you're just going to constantly wear and tear the same muscles all the time. And eventually that's going to start wearing down. So you want to take a day off. Maybe sometimes when you're jogging, maybe run a little faster in intervals, and then let's go back to your slower jog. So just because that will activate different muscles also to keep you even healthier. But not everyone's going to run every day. So I'm not saying when you're walking or just, doing your everyday exercises, just go ahead and walk your normal pace. But as you get into trying to, uplift your program to be more of a running program, then you have to be conscious of making sure you do different types of intervals along the way to ensure that you're activating all your different leg muscles. You're not overstressing anyone.
Dr. Bocage has been in practice as an orthodontist for over a decade, helping to create beautiful smiles in the Key Biscayne community. She is inspired by her patients to do her job better every day and to continually learn new methods of treatment to improve the care she gives. Dr. Bocage enjoys using her knowledge of science and engineering to make a positive difference in the life of her patients. She built her career as an orthodontist on a foundation of quality education. She received her certificate of orthodontics and a master's degree in medical science from Harvard University. Dr. Bocage is a member of the American Dental Association, the American Association of Orthodontists, and the Harvard Society of Advancements in Orthodontics, and is also a certified Invisalign provider. At Bocage Orthodontics, we provide the highest quality orthodontic treatment and Invisalign for children and adults. We are conveniently located at the heart of Key Biscayne at 240 Crandon Blv, Suite 106. You mentioned protecting your legs and back. That there's techniques. I mean, I ran in the past, but I never really thought about protecting my back and knees. How do you do that?
Well, I would say the first thing that's very important to you is getting the right running shoe. Let's just stay running on the asphalt, in the interior. You have to find the running shoe that really fits you. And the best way of doing that, what I found, was I would go to, I think Footworks is right there. Right there down US 1. I forgot, it's right in that mall. I forgot the name of that mall.
There's only like one, so.
Yeah, that's the Footworks there. And they're very good because they're all runners. So when you come in there, if you're going to run a lot, I would say, go to that Footworks initially. Have them try. They have a little running machine there treadmill. Thank you, Matilda. And so they'll see how you run with different shoes and how comfortable how you feel with them. And eventually you'll find the right shoe. Now, once you find that right shoe and that's where you're comfortable, then ideally is you want to like sort of hit on the ball of your foot, ideally. And then, it slowly put your weight in the back. But normally you'd want to keep your weight as much forward as possible. That takes less stress off of the back of your legs, your calves, and everything else. If you're imagine if you're walking flat foot, right, and you're just constantly hitting the heel of your foot first, think how much you feel the stress, right? You can even, like, if you just stomp your foot on the ground and you stomp with your heel, you're going to feel a little pinch in the back of your, on the back and your back of your legs, because all that pressure is coming directly into your legs. So ideally, you want to sort of run on the ball of your foot. Now, that's easier said than done. If you're running 5 miles, to run on the ball of your foot for every mile, it's hard because you get tired. As you get tired, you tend to just slowly start running more on the heel because it's easier. All right. So I would say, and that's okay. I mean, eventually, if you start running your heel at the end, that's okay, because, don't force yourself to run a certain way if you're putting too much stress on your legs. But try to start out more running on the ball of your foot, less on the heel of your foot. And then, but the right running shoe, then you should be fine. That will take less stress off your back, legs, knees, etc. And watch the tread of your shoe as you start seeing wear and tear on your shoe, and that can come in any parts of because that tells you how you're running, to be honest. Where you see the tread starting to wear, that tells you whether you run more, toed in or toed out or on the back, because you'll see how the tread. So when you start seeing probably no more than 1/4 of an inch loss of tread, then you need to replace those shoes. because that will, if you don't, then it's going to cause more stress because now there's not less cushion. So as you keep running that certain way, whether it's off to the right or off to the left or off to the back, you're going to put more and more pressure on that part of your body that's already getting the way you run normally, naturally, and you don't want to do that. That's going to add potential, more injury. So when you see some of that wear, maybe no more than 1/4 of an inch, I would say then replace the shoes. And so if you run a lot, that means probably every 2 months, 3 months, you might have to get a new pair of running shoes. So you have to allocate that budget, but it's a small price to pay for your health. So I would say that's a big recommendation to ensure that your knees, legs, and hips, and back and all that parts of your body, stay healthy.
In the news article, it says that you run to meet new people. So what are some stories that people have told you?
Yeah, very good question. I would say a couple people I've met have really stressed to me that when they stop and they usually will stop and ask me, "Oh, as I see you running all the time, how often do you run? A, how many miles do you do? B, same questions you had. Do you run every day? Da da da." And usually I will say, "Oh, thank you for asking." So and I try to introduce myself to them, and they'll usually tell me the reason why they want to meet me is that I inspire them. I inspire them to either be more active, or they want to, see how they can have their children become more active too, and make it sort of like a family health lifestyle. And so they're more curious, same questions we've had here, as to why, oh, I'm sorry, that's my,
Sorry.
as to why, why I got into running and some thoughts about it. And usually and I said in the article here too, is that I remember growing up that and this was back in the day, the doctor would always tell my mom, and therefore I remembered this as a little child, is that you really need to do 1 hour's worth, at least an hour's worth of exercise. We'll just call it that, right? Which means not just walking back and forth from the kitchen to the TV or to the bedroom, real active walking, meaning away from the normal daily activities and walking briskly or whatever, just to get your heart beating faster, right? And that's going to be healthier for your heart, your lungs, all the internal organs when you're out there running, walking, at least strenuously, if you want to call it strenuously, but more active, we'll say, participation in that walking or running for that hour. So we'll just call it like a brief exercise. We're going to call it that. And if you do that, the doctor was telling my mom at the time was that that's going to help, develop healthy habits for that child and yourself. And B is, as I mentioned, your body will respond very favorably to it and hopefully not have as many issues or problems later in life, where I know people, have ailments, whether it's their, internal organs of some sort. So it's really an overall health prognosis. So I remember that vividly, and that's why I tell people that it's never too late. So walking your dog is fine. That's walking, but away from your home, right? So you're not, just trying to do something because when you're doing something in your home, yes, you are taking steps, but it's always because there's something on your mind, right? You're not freeing yourself from walking as a state of exercise and relaxing when you're walking or running, and therefore allowing the endorphins and allowing all the healthy hormones in your body take over. And so I always tell people that, and they're always like, "Oh yeah, that makes sense," right? So I'm not saying the hour is still applicable today, but I just remember saying that. And think of how our bodies are built, right? We have legs and arms, right? We're meant to walk, run. I mean, that's how our body's built, to do these activities naturally, right? We don't have to work at something, how to run. We don't have to think about how do I walk, right? We sort of know how to do that. So it's a matter of doing that more often in a very, less stressful environment. And so when I talk to people in that level of simplicity, it's sort of common sense. Like, oh yes, that makes sense. So let me, I'm in fact, you've inspired me to be more active. Or I have friends who have seen you running and they become more active. I've heard that a lot. There was a lady or two who told me there was a Facebook group that was my groupies, I guess, if I call it that. They all talked about me, or when they saw me doing things, and they would just chat within themselves about what they can do to become more active, like I was modeling in some extent. So I thought that was cute. And then also, if I go in the Key and I'm running in the interior, that's where you meet more of the, I say people walking their dogs, families, and they we'll discuss a whole bunch of things. It could be about, current, the current environment of the Key, what's going on with the Key. It could be about other politics. And obviously we just had an election, so there was always discussions about, Donald Trump and Kamala Harris, and just people had their thoughts on that. So, it really, I would say nothing that would be, I met a world-class athlete when I was walking, or jogging in my, whether on the beach or interior. I can't say I met anyone that fascinating, but what I find fascinating to me is just regular people talking about regular day-to-day things that are on their mind. And it ranges, as I mentioned, from politics to day-to-day activities, what's going on in the Key, what they think about the mayor, how he's doing. I'm Catholic, so St. Agnes, when it was getting built, that church was obviously a little taller than people thought it was going to be. So I heard a lot of people discussing the height of the church and why is that so needed. So it ranged, and I like that because I enjoy listening to different perspectives. I tend to be more of someone who wants to hear all different views on things, and it helps me learn. And B is, I always feel that the multitude of input always gives you a better answer overall than to have my own view of things and say that's the way it is. And absolutely not. So I also appreciate I could probably get more out of it than I give. Now, people would say, oh, no, you give a lot more and I take a lot more than I give back. And I would say, absolutely not. I enjoy it more than probably they do, because I love to learn more about people, what's going on in the Key, what's going on, anywhere. So I guess that's an answer that not a fascinating person, but I think everyone in Key Biscayne is fascinating. So I enjoy meeting anyone.
And that's what Key Biscayne Stories is all about,
Right.
Because at the beginning you were just like, why did you invite me? Because I'm not famous, I'm just a guy.
I know, I'm just a regular person.
Yeah, but the show is about that. It's about the regular people that live in the Key that we love so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's always a lot of people that we meet and we see all the time, but exactly. We never get a chance to start a coffee with you and get to know you. So that's what the show's about.
And I see so many times when I'm running, people just wave or smile. It makes you feel good, right? It's not like it's an ego thing, but to have people sort of acknowledge that you're there and want at least to share a warmth of a hi or a smile or a wave. And I do the same in reciprocity. Yeah, reciprocity. Reciprocal. I always have a tough time saying that word. And so, and I think that's the warmth of the Key Biscayne community. And I think it's sort of things that go unsaid. You just know you're in Key Biscayne. Once you're involved with the community, you just know there's a strong warmth within it, because it's just little things, little hand gestures. You said, a hi, a smile, hello, whatever it may be. How many communities, I could tell you, when I grew up in upstate New York, there weren't a lot of people saying hi, hello, and, ready to greet you. And although there were strong communities, it was very linked to themselves and about, their family, your family, and that was it, right? It was very, you could tell, although large in community and education and the like, which is great, less of really wanting to get to know you, really wanting to share their time with you. And that's what makes Key Biscayne great.
So you mentioned you run in the interior. I like how you call it in the interior. Well, on the beach. Since you do this daily, do you see anything interesting on the beach?
On the beach, yes. I mean, obviously we've had these shark sightings, and I'll call it that. Usually closer to the lighthouse area. I'll see a lot of times where people will be covering on the shoreline, just staring out into the water. Now, you may see a shark fin way in the distance. So I'm always a little bit amused that everyone's, worried about these sharks. And the shark is, if you ever see the fin, it's so far away. It's sort of like, I think you're fine here. And half the time when they're looking at the shark or trying to tell me there's a shark out there, I can't see it. I'm like, I don't see it. But okay, I believe you guys. But it is interesting. So I have seen that. I think early morning, I think I saw one time little alligators or crocodiles, whatever. They were near on the shoreline and they quickly scurried back into the water. I saw that one time. Stingrays, you see them now. Stingrays, or that, I guess I call them stingrays, right? Though I know it's a common term, a vernacular term. I don't know if there's a specific kind of stingrays that are popular here. We'll just call stingrays in general.
Yeah.
And I've seen them now. Those ones are near the shore, but they tend to avoid people. I mean, and I've seen people just walk out and not know that the stingray's there. And before I can say anything, the stingray's already, off into the sea. So So when I do see them, I know that they shy away from people. So minutes of people are nearby, they just shimmy away. So I think stingrays, an alligator, or I guess crocodile. I'm not too sure which one is here. And then the shark that I've seen now and then. But it is interesting how people they huddle like, it's like they're going to be attacked any minute. And I'm like, wait a minute, it's so far out. I mean, but I think people are just more fascinated with the word shark. So that's what I've seen mostly on the Key. I mean, on the beach.
And what's your ideal weekend on the Key for you?
What's the ideal weekend? That's a great question. And really, as I was thinking about this, the weekend or the week is really not much different to me, but let's stay with the weekend. As you know, as I mentioned earlier in the call, I'm part of the Catholic Church. So I do enjoy doing service for the church of St. Agnes. I'm an usher, and I also, sit in the chapel and spend time with Blessed Sacrament. For those who are Catholic, I think they know what that means. For those who are not, it's just spending an extra hour with spending quiet time with the Lord Jesus. And I enjoy doing that because it allows me to think. And I do pray every day. I say the rosary every day. So it gives me peace of mind. So I enjoy that. And the ideal weekend is spending time at the church, but also running the beach. And that is the chance for me, again, to meet people. But I just enjoy the fresh air that, when you're on the beach, also it's just the wind comes in and it's so refreshing. And so I tend to run a lot longer on the beach because I'm not as on the hard pavement. It's more wear and tear, as I mentioned. So your legs do get a little more tired on when you're running in the interior. So on the beach, on the weekends, it's great because I can just run longer and just watch people. And again, I go to people watching. There are times on the beach where I'm not talking to anyone, right? I'm just jogging by and they'll say, "Hey, Rocky," and all that, which is great. But other times I just watch people. And I say everyone seems to have a good time. You watch the kids do what they're doing. You have families together. You have groups of women and men together doing their things, or sometimes intermingled, doesn't matter. Young kids, a lot of soccer balls being kicked on the beach. So you get to see the talent of the soccer skills that we have. And a lot of these kids, or some of these kids do a lot of great things with the soccer ball. A lot of different activities. So you get to see Key Biscayne in Key Biscayne. And Key Biscayneisms, if you want to call it. I mean, doing what they love doing. And so I enjoy just seeing people enjoying themselves in the different activities that they're doing. So that makes the weekend great. So I look forward to the weekends. And then during the week, just what I enjoy most about that is I know I work hard, but it allows me, when I run in the evenings, it allows me to get away from the stress of work. I get a chance to meet people, and also allows me to think of new ideas, even for work, because my mind's cleared. I'll be jogging and all of a sudden a new idea will pop in my head about a topic I was sort of struggling with. And next thing you know, I'm back at, after running, and I can jot down that idea and make sure it's ready for the next day. So I guess that's a summary of me. Not much more besides I just enjoy Key Biscayne, the people, and the chance to have, I guess, talk to y'all on this podcast.
Well, Mark, thank you for jumping on the show and sharing your story with us. It's been great to get to know you. And I mean, a lot of us probably have seen you around. If they haven't seen you, then they'll see you now. But
yeah,
we definitely have seen you running around. So
great.
We're like, who's that guy? So
who is that guy?
now we know. So thank you for coming on the show.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it. Thanks, Alejandro. Matilda.
Dr. Bocage has been in practice as an orthodontist for over a decade, helping to create beautiful smiles in the Key Biscayne community. She is inspired by her patients to do her job better every day and to continually learn new methods of treatment to improve the care she gives. Dr. Bocage enjoys using her knowledge of science and engineering to make a positive difference in the life of her patients. She built her career as an orthodontist on a foundation of quality education. She received her certificate of orthodontics and a master's degree in medical science from Harvard University. Dr. Bocage is a member of the American Dental Association, the American Association of Orthodontists, and the Harvard Society of Advancements in Orthodontics, and is also a certified Invisalign provider. At Bocage Orthodontics, we provide the highest quality orthodontic treatment and Invisalign for children and adults. We are conveniently located at the heart of Key Biscayne at 240 Crandon Blv, Suite 106.